Thank you for clicking on this video. And if you don't know what this is, it's a little project of mine that I've been doing for a few months now, narrating a little story. You can start from the beginning if you want to, or episode 5. And if you don't care, or are caught up, enjoy. And the art that you see throughout these videos are done by my friend, whose link you can actually see in the description. Omega. Episode 11. Old Friends and New Consequences. Recap. Wolf Squad's loss is only a small hurdle for Scarlet, as she now directs her attention to a new mission. Little does Ishin know where this mission will send him and what he will find. A beautiful garden of rose petals, 2 kids dueling on a bridge, sticks in hands, trying to push each other into the still water below, where salamanders curiously watched from a rock. Walking into his father's garden was Ishin, a smile across his face. The 2 boys ran over to the prince. His friend Jack spoke first. "So, did you get it?" he asked. Unhooking a sheath from his back, Ishin unveiled the weaved metal. Jack gasped while getting a closer look. "It's beautiful." "You've had it for a week at max, and it's already looking like a greatsword. Why am I not surprised?" Oscar laughed while giving Ishin a hug. "So, what have you guys been doing this week?" Ishin asked. "Oh, you know, preparing for the meeting that could change our entire nation." Oscar slides one hand to his mouth. "Well, mostly me. You know, one of us here isn't a noble." Obviously pointing at Jack. "Hey, I did what I could do," Jack pouted. "Oh, we both know it's not your fault. You were born on one of the colony planets after all." "All right, that's enough for you two. I don't want to hear my 2 friends bicker. And I really don't want to hear about that meeting until tonight." Ishin looked at the both of them. "So, who actually wants to try the weave metal?" "Oh, I do," Jack beamed. "Hey, you said that I could use it first when you got back," Oscar complained. Ishin thought about it for a second. "You know what? Whoever gets to the training room first gets to use it first." As if a racing bell went off, the 2 of them had already entered the hall, leaving Ishin in the dust. The dream faded as Ishin woke up inside Scarlet's ship. Its name, the Great Howl. Ishin's room was small, a bed sunk into the wall just big enough for him. A little shelf where he stored his valuables was above it. Next to it was a vanity desk, a mirror on top of it so Ishin could do his hair, and a terminal in the corner where he watched his reputation dissipate. He started his morning like any other. First, he changed into his only pair of clothes that still had a few grains of sand clung to it, making his skin itch. Then came the most difficult part, his hair, trying to tie it in the back, like his mother did every day for him. But unlike her precise hands, his were like clubs. His door opened, where now Scarlet stood. "Good morning. We're going to meet up with some interesting people later," she greeted. Ishin ignored her, too focused on doing his hair. "You know, you're doing it wrong," she giggled. "Oh, and you do?" Ishin scowled, moving his head to look at her as half of his hair fell into his face. "In matter of fact, I do," she remarked, moving like lightning behind Ishin, grabbing his hair. "What are you doing?" "Oh, just stand there and look pretty." She moved her fingers like an aged farmer moves their sickle. With ease, she perfectly placed his hair into the hairband, leaving the part below the hair hanging to complement Ishin's face. "We also need to get you some new clothes. I could smell the beetles still on you." Looking in the mirror, Ishin was more than impressed. "How did you do that?" "Oh, I had a brother. He always used to have his hair in a similar manner. He actually taught me how to do that." I still can't believe it. It's just like how she did it." "Well, are you ready for the day?" Scarlet smiled. They walked to the main area of the ship, where the 2 pilot seats were, looking out into space. Behind it, a hollow table, where Finn sat, moving a small metal ball between his fingers. Scarlet began. "All right, before we have company over, I should explain what we have been hired to do by my boss." Scarlet pressed a button on the table, projecting a fork-like ship. Thanks again for the blueprints, Finn. I am to please as always, Finn said, putting the ball in his pocket. Scarlet continued. This is a prison ship headed to a facility on Pompeii. Our employer is wanting us to collect a hidden prisoner located near the bridge. And who is this prisoner? Ishin asked. Oh, none other than the creator of Weave Hunter bots and the Squire fighter ships, Vito Barnabas. And why does your employer want us to collect him? I'm not sure. We just get paid. Back to our mission. We will want to disable the ship's communication. Now, with our friends we'll be meeting soon, it should go smoothly. But if it doesn't, then 3 Knight-class ships will come to its rescue, with enough firepower to rip through our small little vessel in seconds. Scarlet then explained a few more things, like how many guards there are and their routes. She would have continued, but a nearby terminal started to beep with a call. Scarlet ran over, taking the call, while Ishin's eye was caught in the corner of the hollow table. Appearing there was a list of every known prisoner. Grabbing the holographic list, he threw the data onto a tablet. Moving to a more comfortable spot, Ishin sat in the co-pilot's seat, its cushy black leather cradling his back. Next to him sat Finn, looking out the window into the void of space, metal ball back in his hand. You're a water weaver, right? Ishin conversed while going through the list of prisoners. Yep, Finn deadpanned. So, are you here just for the pay? Ishin asked. Does it matter why? Well, not exactly, but it's good to know who I'm working with. Will it make you quiet? Finn looked at him as his ball was still rolling between his fingers. Ishin was taken back for a second. Yeah, I guess it would. Well, like you, I've been promised something. My family had land back on my home planet. An entire island jelly titan, with enough land to build an entire city. It was until it was taken away with a few legal loopholes by a rival family. And for my services, Scarlet's employer promised me to get my lands back. And the money's good, too. Is that enough to satisfy your curiosity? Oh, more than enough. Ishin responded, his eyes glued to the tablet. On its screen was a boy no older than him. His name, Jack Ark, Ishin's last friend. Time passed, and Ishin wrote down Jack's cell number. He then watched as a huge ship came out of a weave jump. It was like a whale sailing upon stars. Its maw opened up vertically, covering the great howl. After a few moments, a knock came from the airlock. Scarlet opened the airlock, and 4 people then walked in. These are the 4 captains of the Black Hand, she continued. This one here is Karik the Never Poisoned. She pointed to a hunched man with glowing glass orbs attached to his hip. As beautiful as ever, Scarlet, Karik hollered. She ignored him with a disgusted look on her face. Then we have Benevolence, a woman with a huge muscle-bound frame, which contradicted with her cute face. She was so tall, though, that she almost touched the ceiling, and one of her arms was replaced by a Gatling gun, being fed to her backpack. She also held a tower shield in the other hand. She responded with a nod. Thirdly, we have Peyton the Neophyte, a man who in his past trained rangers, and he can use almost any weapon you give him. He smiled. That I can, then responded with a bow of his mechanical arm. And finally we have... Before she could continue, though, the last man spoke up. No need, Scarlet. I am able to introduce myself. From the back of the group, now moving to the front, was a man with a braided beard, an old hat holding on by threads. The name's Meangrim, and I'm the leader of the entire Black Hand crew, and certified water weaver. He gave a wink. I must thank you, Scarlet, for allowing us to help you, and to replenish my numbers, especially our last bout with the ESF. Of course, but remember, we hired you for a reason. You help us, and we help you, she said with a smile. Wait, are you going to recruit prisoners? Ishin spoke up. Well, only the worst of the worst, the mariner said. And why would you want those types of people? Well, first of all, you need people who can kill, and second of all, those who will do anything. The mariner looked at him a little closer, sniffing the air around him. You've never killed before, have you? So what? Ishin's heart burned. Scarlet placed her hand onto her serrated whip, watching as Mingram got a little closer and closer. Well, I would just say it's a little odd to be traveling with her, of all people. He moved his head to Ishin's ear. Maybe you're just some tool she needs. Or maybe you're a prisoner and don't even know it. That's enough, Mingram, Scarlet huffed, her hand ready to unsheath her weapon at a moment's notice. He moved back, still towering over Ishin. I was just messing with the new guy is all. Either way, we've spent too long on introductions. If we want to get your scientist, Scarlet, we better be going. Oh, and you know that crappy hunk of junk of a ship? Yeah, we also got it for you. It's in the hangar. Good, and I'm guessing you already know what to do with it, Scarlet said, looking out the window at this almost botched-together spaceship that doesn't even look like it could fly. I've done a dozen raids like this, Mingram reassured. In space, a forked ship was weave-jumping, 2 pilots in the seats, making sure everything was working while talking. Hey, bro, next week I'll be able to try out to become a squire pilot, a young man with black hair beamed. You won't catch me flying one of those dead traps, but I'm proud, dude. Wait, my wedding's next week. Are you still going to be able to come? An older man asked. Is it still on the same day you've had off for 3 years every week, bro? Yeah, bro. Then of course I can come, bro. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Hell yeah, bro. I know you'll become the best squire pilot this side of Pompeii. You know it, bro. They gave each other a fist bump. Just as their fists connected, a warning was picked up, causing the ship to immediately come out of weave jumping. It looks like we're in the path of some debris, the young man said, inspecting the terminal. That's odd. The route we took should be clear, the older man grumbled. Coming into view of the pilots was the debris of a small ship and a person floating in space inside a spacesuit. Oh, damn, bro! Hurry! Call someone to get him! The young man exclaimed. I'm already on it! The old man pressed a button, informing the crew of a shipwreck. A crew of 3 took their time to claim the person from space, carrying them into the prison ship's hangar. Removing him from the suit, it was none other than Peyton the neophyte. Are you okay? Can you hear me? One of the crew asked Peyton. Slowly he opened his eyes, acting as if he had no idea where he was, while slowly reaching for his mechanical arm. Then a silenced pistol launched out of the arm, catching it with his other hand, a clean shot to the first crew member, followed by a second in a quick snapping succession. The third reached for his own weapon, but it was too late, as a bullet-sized hole was in their head. Peyton had shot him with his back turned. First, Peyton looked around the room for any cameras. He gave a sigh of relief as a docked ship had blocked the camera's view. Quickly, he hid the bodies behind a few shipping containers, taking one of the prison guards' uniforms. Peyton, using a small device, called Mingram. I'm in the ship, and they have no idea, he reported. Ah, good. I'll send some backup, Mingram said. No need. I've got this. Mingram started to laugh. Well, have fun then. Peyton made his way through the ship with the appearance of a bubbly guard. He blended in perfectly. Entering the lower security hall meant for minor crimes, he walked upon a catwalk. A small tablet arose from his mechanical hand with the blueprint of the entire ship. What caught his eye, though, was a young boy with kids around the same age as him, telling a story. Curiosity took over Peyton's mind. Why were there so many young kids? And what was the story? Getting closer, Peyton overheard it. That's right. Together, Ishin and I discovered the plot that would have caused an entire war between Fire Weavers and Stone Weavers. But together, We were able to stop the Neo-Weavers with a little bit of help of the Emperor's Fire Salamander guards. Peyton now was even more interested, thinking that, well, Ishin's not going to like who he's working for. Continuing on with his mission, Peyton found a room that calibrated and produced oxygen for the ship. Using the blueprints, Peyton was able to find out that a small vent connected it to the communications room. Starting to unscrew the grate, suddenly the door to the oxygen room opened with a mechanical hiss. "Oh hey, you're not supposed to be in here," a guard said. "Oh, I'm sorry. I was picked up on our last stop. Still learning everything," Peyton assured. "We never stopped. We've been in space for a month now, ever since we picked up those kids from a King-class ship." "Oh, so it seems." Peyton took no time to shoot the guard. Better make this quick, he thought to himself, finally unscrewing the vent. He crawled inside the vent, having to suck in his gut. Unable to breathe, he moved with a quiet panic, finally reaching the other vent covering, surveying the communications room. It was only one person, watching both the cameras and replying to messages. Peyton's metal hand shot out like a jackhammer, launching the vent covering across the room. Slinking out, he took a breath, looking at the scared man. "Sorry about that. I'm not a big fan of doors," he joked, before shooting the guard. Looking at the terminals, Peyton placed a small round device onto one of the screens. Then, once again calling Mingram. "Are you guys in position?" Peyton asked. "Oh, yes, we are. Are you prepared?" "Indeed I am. In just a few moments, their entire communications go bye-bye. And they'll be sitting ducks for the picking." Peyton climbed back through the vent, and with the push of a button from his hand, an explosion enveloped the communication room. Red lights and alarms were signaled as guards led prisoners to their cells and investigated the emergency, with Peyton blending into the panicked guards. In space, 2 ships came out of weave jumping. One was Wolf Squad's, the other was Mingram's flagship, its huge shape eclipsing the forked prisoner's ship. Opening its maw, the forked ship couldn't fit inside, but the magnet inside its maw stopped it from escaping. The prison ship was alone, deep in space, surrounded by sharks. Mingram's crew was the first to land. None of the guards stood a chance, as Benevolence's barrage of blistering bullets cut through all opposition. Aided by the acrid acid of Carrick, Mingram stood back, watching his crew with a smile. Meanwhile, Wolf Squad landed at another hangar across the ship, away from the violence. "All right. While they distract, we will be heading to the bridge," Scarlet informed. Together, the 3 of them slinked and slithered through the hallways, dodging rushing guards, heading to the sounds of fighting. Ishin, though, had other plans. He had to see his friend. Purposely lagging behind Scarlet and Fen, they came across a hallway that forked, with an emergency airlock door that could separate the halls in case of a breach. Seeing his chance, Ishin rushed to the nearby terminal, pressing the emergency button. The airlock door sprang to life, separating Ishin from his squad. Immediately, Scarlet talked to Ishin through one of his earpieces. "What happened, Ishin?" she asked. "I don't know. Some kind of door close behind you guys?" Ishin lied. There was a moment of silence until Scarlet groaned. "You realize you're terrible at lying." "Look, one of my friends is a prisoner aboard. He could help us." A small huff then came from Scarlet. "Fine. Just don't take too long. I need you to burn away a door, all right?" "Okay, I'll just be a minute." Ishin ran to the low security ring, running to the exact cell number where he saw Jack. At first, Jack didn't even notice it was Ishin running up to the reinforced glass door. "Wait, is that really you?" Jack smiled. "Yes, it is," Ishin reassured. "Now stand back. I'm going to get you out." Ishin pressed his daggers into the glass, and they turned white-hot, warping the glass until it was a hot, bubbling liquid. Stepping out, Jack gave Ishin a friendly hug. I thought they sent you to Silvercrest Prison, Jack said. I was, Ishin smiled. Then things started to click in Jack's head, the sounds of explosions and distant gunshots. Wait, what's going on? Well, they're here for a prisoner, and you were here too, so I came to get you. Jack still looked a little perplexed. Who are the ones attacking? Oh, nothing much, just a few pirates in Wolf Squad. Jack ran his hand through his hair out of worry. Wait, like the Wolf Squad? Yes, and in return for helping them, they're going to help me. Jack didn't need to ask any more questions. What have you gotten yourself into? Jack face-palmed. Do I need to go down the list of everything those people have done? Look, soon they're going to help me. Not to mention, I couldn't leave you here. Once they're done with this ship, I don't know what they plan to do with the other prisoners. But it probably won't be good. Jack now ran both hands through his dark brown hair, making him look like a crazed scientist. All right, if you say that's true about the ship, then we need to get some of these prisoners out of here. At least the ones in low security. Most of them just have minor infractions. Ishin just looked at him, shaking his head. Jack broke. Fine, just help me get the students that were out in that frozen hellhole with us. Ishin thought about it for a second, remembering that they followed him for survival. Fine. Let's get them out. Together, they broke the other students out. All right. I need to get back with the others. But we have a ship docked in Hangar 8. Can you bring them out there? Ishin asked Jack. Yeah, I can, but later I think we need to talk. They separated, with Ishin running to the bridge. Getting closer and closer, bodies of guards laid upon the ground. Ishin had only ever seen so much blood, one time, on that fateful night. He became nauseous, grabbing his stomach, ready to hurl as memories of that tragic event rushed back in his mind. That was until Scarlet came running up to him. She got even level with him, grabbing his shoulder. Using her blood weave, it entered his body. A soothing feeling entered his stomach. And in seconds the nauseous feeling disappeared, as Ishin took a deep breath. Feeling better? Scarlet asked, touching his head like a concerned mother. I'm fine, thank you. What was that? Nothing much. Just a little blood weaver magic. Now, come on. There's a door I need you to open. Walking onto the bridge, Peyton and Fenn stood there. Any resistance they met on the bridge was swiftly brought down. Even the ones who did not fight back, like the now dead pilots. Scarlet guided Ishin to a sealed door in the back, with 3 large locks keeping someone inside. Igniting his talent-like daggers, he pressed them into the first lock, cutting through it like a heated knife through ice. Followed by another lock. Ishin was using so much fire that it caused everyone to wince from the heat. All except Ishin, of course. Ishin, though, was burning through his weave. His breath started to pick up pace, as if it was being choked out by flames. With a clunk, the final lock broke, with Ishin panting on the ground. The doors opened. Walking out was a scruffily dressed man, unknowable stains dotting his shirt, with hair that shot up in different directions. I hope you know, you were 10 minutes and 26 seconds late, he said, his nasally voice grating on everyone's ears. It's good to see you're okay, Vito, and sorry about the wait, Scarlet politely said. Are you going to get me out of here? The dead bodies make me queasy, Vito complained. Scarlet signaled Fenn to take Vito to the ship. All right, Ishin. Let's go tell the mariner to wrap up, Scarlet said. Together they walked now the quiet halls, holes and blood dotting them, with Peyton trailing behind, a coy smile on his face. So, Prince, right? Peyton spoke up. Yeah, I still am, Ishin sneered. I just heard your weave metal was a singular blade, and it was taller than you. And yet you wield daggers. Ishin looked at his weapons, remembering the sadness and anger that created them. While traveling the halls, moving through the medium security. All the cells had been opened, their occupants gone. Looks like we're in for a good show, Peyton laughed. Finding Mingram in the high-security cell room, his group was sitting at the top of a flight of stairs that overlooked a mass of confused prisoners. Benevolence had her minigun, ready to shoot any that dared to scale the stairs to their escape. Mingram acknowledged Scarlet and Ishan, while giving Peyton a pat on his back for all his hard work. Karek shouted over the crowd's mumbling. "All right, prisoners, we're the leaders of the Black Hand, and we're here to get some new members." The crowd still mumbled over him. Benevolence charged up her minigun, shooting into the ceiling. The prisoners then became attentive to Karek. "As I was saying, we need new members, but we won't take just any blast tea drinker. Only those who are willing to do what needs to be done. So, I'd start killing each other." Now the crowd was even more confused, some even laughing. Mingram signaled for Benevolence to fire into the prisoners. Her bullets tore a straight line through the prisoners, their mangled bodies now making a pool of blood in the middle of the room. Mingram lowered his hands, and with it, Benevolent's weapons smoked silently. Ishan was taken back, his heart beating. Scarlet placed a hand of assurance on his back. "Now, we will continue mowing through all, unless you start fighting. So, come, get it over with," Karek commanded. A prisoner with a red mechanical eye threw the first punch at his neighbor. Like dominoes, more and more started a fight out of fear. Some were gouging at the eyes of prisoners, others using any piece of metal or plastic as weapons, turning prisoners into pincushions. The entire time, Ishan looked in horror. He tried to turn away, but his body wouldn't let him, as it filled with horrific heat. Scarlet placed her cool, calming hand again on his shoulder, whispering in his ear, "If you are to do what is required, you must watch. If you are to succeed in your goals, you must follow in my footsteps. For this is your life now, and you can never go back." Eventually the massacre calmed, with only a few prisoners standing. Those wounded blended in with the red bodies that had become the new floor. "Anyone who's standing, welcome aboard the Black Hand crew," Karek celebrated. He watched a wounded prisoner who had a metal rod plunged into his leg tried to stand up. Reaching to his humped back, Karek threw one of his acid globes to the prisoner, whose skin fell off the bone like well-made ribs. Mingram shook hands with the remaining prisoners, getting the names of each one, such as a mechanical-eyed prisoner whose name is Marco. "Well, Scarlet, did you get your prisoner?" asked Mingram. "Indeed we did," she answered. "And here is the rest of the payment for helping us." Scarlet handed him a small black box. Inside was data that stored credits that Mingram could use at his leisure. Mingram shook the box. "Well, thank your employer. And if they need any more help, just call me." "You know, your work isn't over yet." "Oh, I know. I'll blow up this evidence." Mingram smiled, sizing up the prison ship. Going their own way, Scarlet and Ishan walked into Hangar 8. "There you are, Ishan." "Wait, is there something wrong?" Jack asked, looking at the sickly Ishan. "I'm fine," he responded. "Are you his friend?" Scarlet asked. "I am, and you must be Scarlet," he said, looking at her coldly. "You know who I am?" "Of course. Who doesn't?" Scarlet then looked at the hangar, at the other kids. "I thought you said you were only bringing one person, Ishan." He looked at Scarlet with eyes glassy. "Please don't leave them here." She thought about it for a second. Rolling her eyes, she sighed. "Fine. Bring him aboard." Everyone boarded the ship. It was a little crowded, with Vito complaining how it was just supposed to be him escaping and not a daycare. Even Fen was surprised to see Scarlet allowing them aboard. Ishan, though, retired to his room, away from the racket. Putting his hair down, he dug at the corners of his bed where he had put his necklace for safekeeping. He held it while laying, his mind running with thoughts and images of prisoners. That was until his eyes got heavy and they closed. Thank you for, watching the entire thing. If you have any criticisms or comments, leave them down below. And enjoy some bloopers of this episode. Unshooking. It's none other than the creator of Weave Hunter Bots and maker of the Squiders. No need, Scarlet. Ooh, do we do that voice? You won't catch me flying one of those death traps, but I'm proud, dude. Wait. Oh, Dad. Why did I write it like this?